There comes a time in every gamer's life where they play a game that alters their life forever, changes the course of might even make you switch career paths. And I played that game, and that game is the Mass Effect series. Over the past couple months, I played through the Mass Effect trilogy for the first time, and it is life altering. It is emotionally damaging in some regard, and yet it is a feeling that you want to relive over again. For starters, Mass Effect wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought the big hype around it was because of the nostalgia, the early 2000s game, the feeling of those games, just the overall feeling that it gave you. But I was quickly proven wrong. At first when I started, I was like, "Oh, am I going to really fall in love with this? Am I going to see the spectacle that is Mass Effect?" And a few hours after asking that question to myself, I was hooked. There have been multiple instances when I was playing where I was up until 2, maybe 3 a.m. And I just could not put the game down. My eyes glued to the screen with Gorilla Glue. And one thing that I kept wondering to myself and kept asking myself over and over while playing the game is, how can this keep going? Not in a bad way, but in a good way. How can this keep improving from what's already been so good? How can this story tear me apart continuously and still find something else to tear away from me? Now, Mass Effect's gameplay isn't crazy, but I don't think that's what Mass Effect's strong point is. Mass Effect's strong point comes in the form of its dialogue and how it enthralls you into dialogue and those decisions that you have to make and how you maintain your relationships if you choose to. And part of that is how you choose to frame your character, Commander Shepard. You can choose to be an overall good guy. You can choose to be some guy that has some morally weird choices, or you could be an overall dick. Those are all up to you on how you frame Commander Shepard. And then on the flip side, you get to choose how you maintain the relationships of people you meet along the way, your crew, even your romances. And it kept gripping me how important the game made it to you to check up on your people. Just how in real life you want to check up on your friends, make sure they're doing okay, check in, see how they're doing. Times are tough. And the thing is, that's the same feeling the game made me. I kept wanting to go up to my crew after missions, side missions, main missions, whichever one, and just check in, make sure they're good. Is there any new dialogue options? What's going on? Are you going through something? And sometimes your character or your companions were going through something, and that came in the form of companion missions, loyalty missions, and those were in depth. And I thought they were just going to be another mission that you got to maybe boost morale, but instead of just boosting morale, it gave you insight into your companions and the people that you would go on bizarre or even suicidal missions with. And it was just this never-ending experience that kept giving. And my mouth was open the entire time. Every conversation was good. I didn't want to skip. And like I said, I spent time just looking at the options and weighing the consequences and who should I side with here? What would I do if I was actually in this scenario? And the game does a great job of gripping you into that. But another thing the game does a good job of explaining to you is that this isn't meant to be an overall happy story. The universe or the galaxy is ripping apart at the seams and everyone is at risk of destruction. And the game reminds you of that over and over again. However, the game does give you some time to mentally de-stress in the form of their DLC missions, which were equally as great of an experience. The game just doesn't seem to have had a point where it let up on teetering you between I'm going to lose it and I feel content at life. Another place that the game comes back to is the little side stuff you can do. Sometimes just rovering on the Mako through a planet, exploring and seeing what a planet has to offer in forms of material, side content, whatever. was cool because it, like, for me, it helped me take my mind off of the horrors of the galaxy and what's coming. Continuing on the dialogue, one thing that took me aback are those dialogue options, your choices, your decisions carried over from game to game and not just it being siloed into its own game and its own outcome. And I think that was what brings the replayability back in. Like I said, you can shape your shepherd however you want to. You can shape your crew however you feel like it. I think that's what makes me want to come back to test those other decisions, to test other relationships and how those can play out differently for me. And maybe I'd be more content with those decisions in my first playthrough. But other than that, I just wanted to come on here and yap about it and how much I've enjoyed it and how much I look forward to seeing what they do with future Mass Effect installments. I know BioWare has now become a one game studio, and that means Mass Effect is their sole project, I believe. So we'll see how that turns up. I'm an optimist, so we'll hope for the best. But other than that, I just wanted to come on here and yap. So on that note, y'all take it easy. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.